What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. The almighty Bobby Lashley is now WWE Champion, so what does this mean for Raw as the road to WrestleMania continues? Join us now as we look at this week's edition of Raw, as well as some of the wildest news and rumors you need to know, including Randy Orton secretly saving a referee's life, Peyton Royce has had enough, Kenny Omega is furious about Revolution's finish, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. As always, we aren't recapping the matches, but just providing you with the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good, as the Hurt Business look like $1 million. The Hurt Business continues to look like $1 million, whether it's the gold around their waist or their $1 million presentation in and out of the ring. Lashley, MVP, Benjamin, and Alexander exude success, whether it's dressing for success or boasting of their accomplishments. MVP is better than ever on the mic as he hypes how big and bad the Hurt Business are, all the while flaunting the group's success. Last year, MVP talked about wanting to present the Hurt Business as an example of a successful faction, and the group has succeeded beyond all expectations, with their hard work paying off in the form of a sustained push. Like the early versions of the Four Horsemen, the Hurt Business already has a loyal fan base, and it's only a matter of time before the WWE is forced to turn them babyface. But let's hope they don't dilute the group and ruin a year of build-up. Number 2, Lashley's new epic entrance. While former WWE composer Jim Johnston may not be a fan of WWE's current themes, something we covered in a previous news video, Bobby Lashley's new entrance is the perfect combination of light, music, and spectacle. His previous theme was powerful, but this new theme and his kick-ass lightning-fueled Titantron video is almighty. It's the perfect way to top off Lashley's one-year build-up to the WWE Championship. What do you guys think of his new entrance and music? Let us know in the comments down below. Number 3, another superb slobber knocker. Fans who enjoyed last week's wild brawl between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus were in for a smash fest of a sequel, as both bruisers brawled in one of Raw's wildest Donnybrooks in recent memory. As we reported last week, WWE management praised the two men's match, and it's likely they'll have even more praise for this week's superb slobber knocker. Despite them putting Sheamus and McIntyre in too many matches, both have over-delivered, somehow making each brawl better than the last. If ever Sheamus had a chance to step back into the main event, this is it, and fans of the Celtic Warrior must be eager to see what happens next. But that was the good. What about the bad? Is number 1, Lashley's lackluster language. Now, Bobby Lashley has the potential to become one of the greatest champions there is, but there's one thing missing from his promos: some oomph in his voice. Now, Lashley is certainly menacing, but he's too soft-spoken with his promos, and unfortunately not a good way. Now, history has shown that heels like Jake the Snake Roberts don't need to scream and shout during promos, but Lashley is a bit too lackadaisical on the stick and needs to add aggression to his tone. Number 2, Shane vs Braun is boring. Now, while it looks like the WWE is planning a Shane vs Braun Strowman match at WrestleMania, the program is off to a terrible start. Is it bad enough that the monster among men has made another babyface turn, probably his 47th this year, with no angle to set it up? Quite frankly, with this many turns, it's probably best not to acknowledge them, because Strowman could be a heel again next week. Now, the big problem is that WWE's reasoning behind the feud, that Shane McMahon is making fun of Braun's implied inferior intellect, has been confusing at best, and at worst made Strowman out to be an unsympathetic figure. Number 3, no contest in a no DQ match? What? Now, last night's finish for the Sheamus vs Drew Donnybrook had fans wondering why a no DQ match ended in a no contest. The reason was likely that neither man was in any shape to continue the match, but the WWE ignored this, instead creating a hole in the story of an otherwise outstanding bout. Now, we may be nitpicking, but it's more of a case of the WWE again failing to fill in the details. Now, the good thing is there was nothing ugly about last night's show, and in fact they did a great job building things up for Fastlane and WrestleMania. The women's division got much more coverage than it typically does, and while there's no reason to think this was anything but an exception, it was good to see. But what did you guys think of Raw this week? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, let's move on to the news. Now, our first story looks at Randy Orton secretly saving a referee's life. Now, add hero to Randy Orton's resume, as it looks like he saved a referee from serious harm last night on Raw, motioning the referee to step away from the ring post before the Fiend's fiery pyrotechnics went off. Maybe AEW should have added that to their pyro at least. Now, it's unknown why the referee was out of position, but thanks to Orton secretly signaling a secret gesture to the referee that the pyro was going to go off, he escaped a hazardous situation. Next up, WWE upset with Christian. A Christian Cage is all elite, leaving the WWE and appearing at AEW Revolution. So how are wrestlers reacting to his jump? Well, Fightful Select is reporting that while superstars were unaware of the signing, they were suspicious, especially since Christian hadn't been used since the Royal Rumble. Fightful is also reporting that higher-ups in WWE told Fightful that Christian not being referenced on WWE TV wasn't a coincidence, and that while they were let down that Christian made the move, it was on the company for not having a contract locked down. According to several reports, a number of AEW superstars knew about Captain Charisma's contract with AEW, but they kept things quiet until his debut. If true, this is quite a feat given wrestlers' tendency to leak stories. Next up, Omega was furious with the Fizzled finale. Our current AEW World Champion Kenny Omega's exploding barbed wire death match with Jon Moxley looked to be on its way to becoming one of AEW's most violent main events, but it had a flop of a finish where the exploding ring had all the power of one of Big Show's farts. Now, to no one's surprise, the Fizzled finale quickly went viral, with AEW becoming a laughingstock. In fact, AEW went on to block various fan-generated videos of the finish and taking them down, saying they were copyrighted material. But how did Kenny Omega, who played a big role in getting the stipulation match into the main event, feel about things? Well, Brian Alvarez commented on the incident during the Wrestling Observer Live, with 411 Mania summarizing his comments. Alvarez noted that the bomb they used was a dud and that it was not supposed to look that way, which of course led to a ton of criticism of the event on social media. He noted that Omega was furious about the finish, without providing further elaboration other than to say he was not happy. It was also noted that the company tested the situation beforehand and that it was just that this particular bomb was a dud. At this point, all AEW can do now is to figure out a damage control strategy. While Tony Khan already seems to be changing the narrative to say that Omega's bomb-making skills were lacking, it may be better to adopt a policy of pretending it never happened. But what do you guys think AEW should do? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Peyton Royce rips WWE. A former women's tag team champion, Peyton Royce, is fed up with her current WWE push, and she let the world know just how she feels on the latest edition of Raw Talk. She talked about the many sacrifices she's made in coming to the United States and how she's tired of seeing the same old getting opportunities in the ring. To sit in the locker room and watch women do what I do better than 98% of them and the other 2%, well, I'd sure as hell give them a run for their money. It actually hurts when you know deep in your soul that you're destined to be where you are, striving for what you feel where you deserve. My potential haunts me. When you're striving for something you feel you really deserve. This is what I'm meant to be, and my patience has been running thin for quite some time, so stop wasting my time and give me Asuka. Royce had been spinning her wheels since splitting up with longtime Iconics partner Billie Kay. While she was supposed to get a strong singles push, they instead paired her with Lacey Evans, a move that was widely criticized not only for spoiling any singles push, but being redundant as Royce had an excellent chemistry with Kay. Not to mention the fact that Evans was in her own storyline anyway. Next up, Taker talks Lashley versus Lesnar. One of the hottest rumors going around right now has to do with the possibility of Lashley finally facing Brock Lesnar. MVP recently posted a photoshopped picture of the two titans staring each other down in the ring, and now The Undertaker has responded to the photo with money. And finally, Randy Orton destroys Soulja Boy again. And last but not least, Randy Orton isn't giving rapper Soulja Boy a pass with his second March tweet that the rap game is faker than WWE. Orton mercilessly mocked Soulja, and it looks like he hasn't finished, responding to a tweet showing Drew McIntyre and Sheamus's beat up backs after their recent brawl with the following message: "Fake, right Soulja Boy? By the way, which one of your baby mamas do I send the bill to for making you relevant again? I assume they all own your ass, so who's cutting those checks?" Now, we doubt that this is going to be the end of their exchanges, but some fans have speculated that this could be a setup for a future match between the Viper and the rapper. We really hope not. But there you have it, guys, the good, the bad and the downright ugly from this week's Raw, as well as the wildest wrestling news stories. Leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.